Grand Rising heathens. Grand Rising this morning. It's good early Sabbath day. 6:43 a.m. Sabbath day. March 29th. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yeah, you gotta walk. When you out this motherfucker walking in the wee hours of the morning, like 5 a.m. or something like that, make sure y'all got a dog with y'all, cause them motherfucking raccoons, ladies and gentlemen, play no games. You heard? Them motherfucking raccoons don't play no games. They out here, y'all. They out this motherfucker in the pack. The fuck? Shit, I'm going the other way. I'm gonna dip across the street on them. But if they got babies with them, that's the thing. If they got the babies strolling along with them, and they think the babies are about to be violated, them motherfuckers attack you, ladies and gentlemen. They most definitely attack you. And what fucks me up is them humps in their back. You know what I mean? A fucking hump in their back. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having us. Doing this, I know there's a lot of interest in this.
Tell them what's going on, E.
First, let me start with you, Elon. What are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try and cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion. Or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud, so we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
I'm going to talk to all the guys.
Not making it better.
I'm going to talk to all the guys here about the specifics, but for you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally a 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the bombshell Doge interview that happened on Fox News featuring Bret Baier and Elon Musk and his team of serious problem solvers, okay? Some of the brightest CEOs, business people, engineers in the country. Maximum transparency. They come out, they've answered questions about what they're doing, okay, and how they're making our government better, okay? And to be honest with you guys, this was probably one of the best interviews I've seen in a long time, okay? I encourage everybody to watch the whole thing. We can't go over the whole thing in this video for obvious reasons, but it was a great interview, right? Because CNN, MSNBC, they're triggered by this, right? They found a way to be upset by this interview. Specifically, again, CNN being upset because Elon had all dudes, right? All men with him, and you can tell that CNN had a problem with this.
These are middle-aged and all but one of them a white man. They include Steve Davis, CEO of Elon Musk's Boring Company, a tunnel drilling company, Joe Gebbia, the Airbnb co-founder, Brad Smith, the healthcare entrepreneur, and others. But it's interesting, very interesting that these are the men surrounding Musk. Men with long resumes is part of a plan to convey a very specific message about Musk and Doge, and a different one than Musk has so far been sending.
Absolutely. I mean, the imagery that you pointed out, Aaron, is, pretty remarkable to see. The fact that they're all men, all older men. I think your point about, none of the 19-year-olds being in the room, it shows that they are trying to be more taken more seriously, I think, for this interview. What I also believe and what I've been hearing is, we know that Musk has said that he wants Doge to be more transparent, but really we haven't seen a lot of that transparency. A lot of the criticism that we've heard about Doge so far and what they've been doing is that a lot of these cuts, a lot of their actions, a lot of them going in, those 19-year-olds going into these different agencies, is one of the criticisms is that it's been done in the dark and that they haven't been that public with it. And I think that's part of why they chose to do this interview. Another thing I noticed as well, just the mention of all men in that room, Amy Gleason was named the acting director of Doge, what was named from, USDS. Yeah. She was nowhere to be seen in that room either. And so that's very notable.
Yeah, so again, CNN is triggered, right? They're triggered by the fact that there are no women in the room, okay? That Doge is made up of a serious team, okay? They're not thinking about diversity and inclusion. They're thinking more about how to get the job done, okay? And this is why they want to distract from what the Doge team actually said during this interview, which, again, is very compelling stuff, extremely fascinating. I 100% recommend all of you watch the whole interview. I can't go over the whole interview, but I'm going to go over some of it here. Because ultimately he answered, Elon and his team, they answer questions that a lot of people have about, for example, what is Doge doing when it comes to social programs, okay? Programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Democrats are fear-mongering about, claiming that Republicans are trying to get rid of it, right? Even though, again, Elon is just telling the truth about the structure of some of these programs and how they're unsustainable, okay? But they're going to set the record straight in regards to what their goals are with Social Security and some of these social programs, which is to make them more efficient and to be able to serve the people better, not to get rid of them altogether. Take a look.
I'll say the first thing that got me really excited about Doge was learning basically the state of government computers. By some estimates, government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old, in the case of something like Social Security or the IRS. So really critical systems are old, they cost a lot of money to maintain, and they can be, the efforts to improve them are often very delayed. So I thought I'm a software engineer that maybe can make a difference here, and that's really what inspired me at a high level.
There's a lot of mystery about Social Security and a lot of words about it here's what Democrats have been saying about it.
Good morning, Gray. Check out my drop top. Get your swagger bracket.
Here's what Democrats have been saying about it.
It's absurd that Elon Musk is trying to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security.
Elon Musk and President Trump have set their sights on cutting Social Security.
Their goal is clear. Destroy Social Security from within.
You're in the building. I mean, you're in the computers. What's happening there? What are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't line up with my experience on the ground. And I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
Y'all hear that? More money, not less money. Stop listening to them Dixiecrats, y'all.
That I said this, and it will be proven not to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So, Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah, I mean, but is it a result of going in there,
No.
something you're doing?
The amount of issues that were with the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah,
Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least, from an IG report. So there are some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the Doge team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Yeah, so does it sound like Elon Musk and his Doge team, they're trying to take away grandma's check, right? Does it sound like all of the exaggerations that the liberals and the progressive left have put out there in the mainstream liberal media about what Elon and his team are doing? No. What they're doing is that they're identifying core issues and core problems with these programs, right? The way that these programs are administrated, and figuring out how to make the programs more efficient, right? And to reduce waste and fraud, which means that people will be able to get more of their benefits, or, I personally think that, we should be saving some money, right? As a whole, but yeah, we will save tax dollars regardless, by making these processes more efficient and rooting out the fraud, which again, even Democrats acknowledge when they were a sane party that this is rampant within the government, even within these social programs that Democrats claim are maximally efficient, right? Don't worry, don't go look for any waste, fraud, and abuse in these programs. There is none there, except, again, we all know that there is, okay? There's massive waste, fraud, and abuse. And this is something that Democrats used to agree with when they were sane, or at least when they pretended to be sane.
About a third of all of the spending that's done in Medicare, Medicaid, I would imagine a lot of it's in the private sector as well, doesn't go to really good health care, goes to other things. And the real nub of this is, how do we wring that waste out, that fraud, abuse, duplication, without interfering with the good care that we want every person on Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance to get? The average citizen knows this happens. How many times when you look at your medical bill, you've undergone a minor procedure, and you see Dr. Smith, $4,000, and you sort of vaguely remember he just waved and poked his head in the door? If we're going to eliminate the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare, it does mean we're going to cut some of that out. And when I hear my friend Dave Camp say, you cannot cut money out of Medicare, well, we don't want to cut the good stuff that you point out, or prevent the prevention. But if we're going to, if what Senator Coburn says, that 1/3 of Medicare doesn't go to patient care, you can't just get up there and say, we don't want to cut anything out of Medicare. We want to cut the bad stuff and keep the good stuff. And I think that's where we can find common ground on some of the things you've mentioned, some of the things that are in our bill. And I hope at least in this area we can move forward that way, because frankly, the Republican Party has always stood for getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. In '97, it was the centerpiece of your program. And all of a sudden this year we're hearing, don't do any of that. That's something that I think we can come together on. I thank you.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what is the difference between what Democrats were saying 15 years ago about how there's so much waste, fraud, and abuse in these social programs versus right now. I'm trying to figure out what changed, because it's not like they got rid of it. They didn't do anything about it. Right. Obama failed. Now all of a sudden, it's non-existent, right? It's made up. Again, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Republicans just sound like Democrats from 15 years ago. That's how wild our current state of politics is, right? That's how much Democrats have progressed off a cliff. Okay, when it comes to their Trump derangement, they've just lost themselves completely. Okay, just completely. Because saying the things that these individuals said 15 years ago now is considered extreme, right? Far right, right? Far right. Okay? Fascinating. Anyways, so I want to play another clip here that I think is a good representation of what Doge is actually really doing, right? The main work that they're doing, which is that they are essentially trying to reorganize and restructure the government in a way that makes sense, in which you can achieve maximum efficiency within a certain department, right? Like, for example, the NIH. They talked about the NIH. And I want you guys to really pay attention to how business people think about solving problems within the government, okay, and how the government operates, okay? I think, honestly, this whole interview is a great insight into the mind of the modern day businessman and how they think about organizations and organizational structure. Take a look.
I have an itch in my throat that I cannot scratch, or can I?
Claritin Liquid is powerful allergy relief and an instantly soothing liquid.
Not only is it good for itchy throats.
Organizations and organizational structure. Take a look.
At HHS, and obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH. What are you finding?
Yeah. Well, I'd say there's a couple things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid of, is they don't know what this is all looking like, and is it going to affect me in the long term?
It's going to affect them. It's going to affect people very positively. So the changes that we're doing here will ensure the solvency of the American government, of the United States of America. This is what we're trying to do, is ensure that people do receive their benefits in the future. And you can only receive your benefits if the country is operating in a healthy and competent way.
Morgan Stanley banker, M&A guy. Yeah. Money, and this is a lot of money sloshing around.
There's a lot of money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades. So
it's only going up.
It's only going up. You never take it away. So that leaves you with duplicative functions, it leaves you with overstaffing, and it leaves you with functions in the wrong places. So a couple of examples. Duplicative functions. Brad mentioned 27 CIOs. If you kept going with Brad, he would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices in HHS, right? Yeah.
40?
Yeah, and that's not unusual, by the way. Multiple offices like that.
It's also not making anyone healthy.
This is not about the employees there. There's many hardworking, well-meaning people who took these jobs. These jobs were out there. They applied for them. They took them. They're doing what's there. It's just that they're duplicating the effort of 40 offices. So you've got that. that, you've got overstaffing. A good example of overstaffing would be the IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated to provisioning laptops and cell phones. So if you join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year, you can re-provision.
Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Right. The whole IRS could be handled once a month. So that doesn't make any sense. And President Trump's been very clear: it's scalpel, not hatchet, and that's the way it's getting done. And then once those decisions are made, there's a very heavy focus on being generous, being caring, being compassionate, and treating everyone with dignity and respect. And if you look at how people have started to leave the government, it is largely through voluntary means. There's voluntary early retirement, there's voluntary separation payments. We put in place deferred resignation, the 8-month severance program. So there's a very heavy bias towards programs that are long dated, that are generous, that allow people to exit and go and get a new job in the private sector. And you've heard a lot of news about rifts, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice. So
they're selected if they're leaving.
It is
basically almost no one's gotten fired. That's what we're saying.
Check out our latest service deals at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
We're here to change your oil.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that just considering the organizational and technological redundancies that they clearly identified during this interview that is present within the government, they could probably fire a lot more people and be totally fine, right? Once they actually fix the processes, right? And that's what people don't understand about Elon Musk and his genius, is that it comes from his ability to create efficient organizational structures, right? Which is all about process, okay? How do certain processes work, okay? And trying to create maximum efficiencies within processes, right? That is where Elon Musk and his expertise lies, right? He's a CEO's CEO, right? Because that is what the CEO is supposed to do, right? And yeah, that's what we need, right? We need an actual CEO in the government to reorganize the government in a way that produces maximum results and productivity for the American people, because we're using our tax dollars, right? And see, that's the crazy thing about these. I want to curse because, again, these progressives piss me off with their naivete, right? How naive they are about how the world works. They come out here and they say, the government should run like a business. And again, it's just a naive and ignorant worldview, right? Because they know nothing at all, okay? The government is an organization. It is an entity, right? That is made up of people, and it is funded by our tax dollars, which means that we are shareholders, right? We are stakeholders when it comes to the outcomes of the government and what the government produces for us, right? And that is not very much different than how shareholders of a private company or a publicly traded company have a stake in the performance of the company, and to make sure that the company is using the money that the shareholders are giving the company to generate a profit, right? To generate a return on investment, okay? It's not that much different. We want our government to generate a positive return on investment the same way that shareholders in a private company or publicly traded company want the company to produce a positive return on investment, right? Which means that you can't just blow money on pet projects that accomplish nothing, that do nothing, right? That don't provide a return, a positive return to society. I don't understand why this concept is so hard to grasp. It should not be a hard concept to grasp. When you understand that we are shareholders in the company that is the United States of America, right, as taxpayers, then yes, you should understand that the federal government has a fiduciary responsibility to spend our tax dollars wisely. In the same way that a publicly traded company or a private company has a fiduciary responsibility to spend the money of the investors, okay, the shareholders of the company, wisely, right? It's not that different. So yes, you need a CEO or a CEO's mentality when you're running the government, right? This is not a hard concept to grasp. But again, when you are progressive, when you don't understand how the world works, you don't understand anything, you're just living life, trying to live off of other people and looking for handouts and thinking that the government is supposed to just take people's money who actually produce things and give it to people who don't produce anything, and that's right. Okay, yeah, that's not what's best for society. And this is why everything that these people run, right, anything you put them in charge of, it's a disaster, complete and total disaster. So I don't know how anybody can watch this Fox News interview with the Doge team and come away thinking that this is a bad thing, right? That these are bad people. No, I think these guys are patriots, right? They're trying to do things that politicians don't want to do, and the politicians are complaining about it. And that's the part about it that really blows my mind, because it's like, yo, if our politicians did their jobs, then this would be necessary. This is only necessary because Democrats who've identified the problem, right? Republicans as well too, our politicians who have identified the problem before in the past, they failed to do anything about it, right? So again, you know, it's their fault. You didn't do anything about it. So now we have to have outside people come in, like actual serious people come in and solve the problem. It is what it is. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment.
Good looking out, Greg. Good looking out. Because these house niggas running around, Donald Trump is going to cut Medicare and Social Security. Got our old elders, knowing our elders listen to that weak shit. You know what I mean? Praying once again on our elders, y'all. Stop listening to these fucking Democrats, y'all. They're here to cause mass confusion. In the past, they said they needed the shit to be looked into. It needed to be cleaned up. Now, all of a sudden, it's being cleaned up. Oh, Donald Trump is going to cut Medicare and Social Security. My grandma won't get her Social Security to buy my marijuana for me. Shut the fuck up. The facts were displayed for all you hypocrite-ass niggas that's out there with a battery in your back lying to the American people about Donald Trump is gonna cut Social Security and Medicare. Shut the fuck up. You fucking hypocrites. You goddamn heathens out there lying. They just come with lies after lies after lies, slandering this man. Not only slandering the president, Donald Trump, but slandering Elon Musk. And they doing that's going to benefit the American people. They talking about cutting Social Security, and y'all heard it from the horse's mouth that Social Security recipients might get more in their money. You see? But they ain't telling y'all that. They telling y'all Donald Trump is going to cut Medicare and Social Security. Fucking lies and shit coming from the left. The left lunatics. Don't listen to them, y'all. And a bunch of them niggas out there got batteries in their back. And the game is up. The hoax is up. We can read the play. The play sucks. Y'all got blown out 800-0, all right? With y'all fucked up play. Fuck the Democrats. Not all of them, but most of them.